Nick Jonas was holding his wedding ring, staring at it like it no longer made sense. The fairy tale wedding, the global romance, was it all falling apart? Rumors of regret, silence from Priyanka, and one shocking confession from Nick. Here's the truth behind the headlines. Nick Jonas sat alone in his dressing room, the cheers from the concert still echoing outside. But inside it was quiet, too quiet. In his hand, he held his wedding ring, the same one he had proudly worn since 2018. That night, something had shifted. His expression said it all. A mixture of confusion, frustration, and pain. The spotlight had just faded, the crowd's energy still lingering in the air, but Nick felt numb. No adrenaline, no joy, just questions, ones he had been pushing aside for months. He slowly turned the ring between his fingers, staring at it as if trying to remember what it once symbolized. A promise, a forever. But now, it felt heavier than ever. Was this just a rough patch, or the beginning of the end? Rumors had been flying for weeks. Whispers of tension between him and Priyanka Chopra. Cold looks at red carpet events. Awkward interviews. Cancelled appearances. At first, the tabloids called it nonsense. But the silence between the couple spoke louder than any headline. Backstage, crew members noticed Nick seemed off lately. Distracted, short-tempered, lost in thought. He wasn't the same guy who used to light up when Priyanka entered the room. But nobody expected it to come to this. A moment where Nick was questioning everything. How did one of Hollywood's most talked-about love stories come to this breaking point? Their love story started like a movie, literally. From flirty DMs to red carpet debuts, Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra had captured the hearts of millions around the world. Their wedding wasn't just a ceremony, it was a global event. A multi-day, cross-cultural celebration that blended Indian tradition with Hollywood glamour. Fans couldn't get enough. The photos, the outfits, the fireworks. It was perfect on the outside. Behind the smiles, however, the cracks were already forming. Nick was fully immersed in his music career, back with the Jonas Brothers, touring non-stop. Priyanka, a powerhouse in her own right, juggled roles in Hollywood and Bollywood, traveling from Mumbai to London to Los Angeles in the blink of an eye. At first, they treated the distance like an adventure. Love has no borders, Priyanka once said in an interview, glowing with optimism. Nick echoed her sentiment, saying, "We make time, no matter what." But life doesn't always bend to romantic quotes. Weeks apart turned into months. The FaceTime calls became shorter. The reunions, once full of passion, began to feel like awkward reunions between two busy professionals. Even when they were in the same room, it felt like they weren't really together. According to close friends, their schedules became their greatest enemy. They were always just missing each other. One would arrive, the other would leave. Nick started to feel like he was living a single life, even while married. Priyanka, used to independence, began to feel the weight of juggling two full-time careers and a marriage that now needed more attention than ever. The romance that once burned so brightly now flickered under the weight of expectations and exhaustion. And neither of them wanted to admit it, but they were slowly growing apart. They say opposites attract, and for Nick and Priyanka, that was true from the very beginning. He was the American pop star with a polished Disney past and a laid-back Midwestern charm. She was the global superstar, bold, opinionated, and deeply rooted in Indian traditions. Their differences fascinated the world and each other. At first, those cultural contrasts brought them closer. Nick embraced Indian customs with genuine curiosity, dancing at his sangeet, wearing traditional sherwanis, even participating in Hindu rituals. Priyanka, in turn, enjoyed American holidays, family barbecues, and touring with Nick's band. It was fun. It was new. It was love in full bloom. But love isn't just fireworks. It's long-term understanding. As time passed, their differences didn't feel so exciting anymore. They felt tiring. Nick, who valued privacy and simplicity, sometimes felt overwhelmed by the huge Indian gatherings and the constant presence of extended family. Priyanka, raised in a tightly knit household and deeply spiritual, occasionally felt isolated in the fast-paced, less emotionally expressive world Nick was used to. Even their day-to-day habits, from food preferences to how they handled conflict, began to clash. One insider shared, they weren't arguing about big things. It was the little stuff. But over time, little stuff adds up. There were moments when Priyanka would want to attend a family puja, and Nick would prefer a quiet night alone. Or times when Nick wanted to take a break from social media, while Priyanka was juggling 3 brand endorsements and a photo shoot. And then came the gossip. Fans speculated about a cold moment on the Met Gala carpet, where Nick appeared distant. Commentators picked apart every facial expression, every hand movement. Was he disinterested? Was she pulling away? Things boiled over when Priyanka suddenly dropped Jonas from her Instagram handle, causing a media frenzy. She later explained it was for a movie role, but by then, the damage was done. People believed something deeper was wrong, and maybe they were right. The couple who once inspired headlines about modern love was now facing an old, classic problem, growing apart. The question exploded online like wildfire. Did Nick Jonas regret marrying Priyanka Chopra? It started with a leaked podcast episode. A guest, claiming to be close to Nick's inner circle, casually said, he rushed into it. I think if he had waited, things might have been different. That one line was enough to spark chaos. Twitter blew up. Tabloids ran with it. Fans were divided, some furious, some heartbroken, others curious. Was it true? At first, Nick said nothing. Priyanka didn't post for days. The silence felt loud. Then came a magazine interview, calm, candid, and unexpectedly raw. Sitting across from a respected journalist, Nick addressed the rumors head-on. Regret is a strong word, he said slowly. Do I regret marrying Priyanka? Never. I love her. What I do regret is how little time we gave ourselves to adjust. We went from dating to engaged to married in, 6 months? And then we just kept running. His eyes betrayed a hint of vulnerability. We didn't pause. We didn't ask the hard questions. We were so caught up in the fairy tale, we forgot real life was waiting. Priyanka, in a separate interview, echoed the sentiment. It wasn't a mistake, but it was fast, very fast. Love doesn't fix everything if you don't nurture it. Those admissions struck a chord with people. They weren't blaming each other. They weren't attacking. They were just being honest. For the first time, fans saw the humanity behind the headlines. And while the media focused on the word regret, those who listened carefully heard something much more powerful: growth. Just when fans thought the fairy tale had ended, something changed. On a quiet Sunday morning, Nick Jonas posted a candid photo. Him and Priyanka curled up on a couch, no makeup, no filters, just smiles. She leaned on his shoulder. He held her hand. The caption read, "We're still writing our story." It wasn't a grand public statement. It was simple and real. Within minutes, the internet erupted in support. People wanted to believe in love again, and that picture gave them hope. Days later, the couple appeared on a popular talk show together. Sitting side by side, they finally opened up, not as celebrities, but as two people trying to hold onto each other. We had to rebuild, Priyanka admitted. We had to go back to being just Nick and Priyanka, no cameras, no pressure. Nick nodded. We started therapy. We started saying no to projects so we could say yes to each other. And slowly, we found our rhythm again. They talked about compromise, about learning to listen, and about respecting their differences instead of letting them divide them. Nick shared how he learned to appreciate the warmth of Priyanka's culture, while she began to understand his need for solitude and space. They weren't pretending to be perfect, and that's what made their love believable again. Today, they're stronger not because nothing went wrong, but because everything that did made them fight harder. They now make time, real, intentional time, to travel together, eat dinner without phones, and celebrate small wins. The fairy tale may have faded, but in its place, they built something even better: a real love, a working love, a love that refused to give up. So, does Nick Jonas regret marrying Priyanka Chopra? No. He regrets not slowing down, not communicating better, not protecting their love from the chaos of fame. But as for the woman he married, he still calls her his home. Sometimes, it's not about finding the perfect person. It's about holding on when things get messy. And that is exactly what Nick and Priyanka chose to do.